Okay. Let me introduce a colleague and a friend. And I'm sure you guys don't even really need an introduction, but just to give you a little bit of a secret that he holds. Okay. He does look very young. That's because he is young and has achieved quite an achievement at his age. He has a degree in medicine and went into further studies for gerontology. Graduating to number 2 in his class, not too bad. He has been invited and has done Cochrane Collaboration Breast Cancer Peer Review, as well as electronic hand searcher. So he does a lot of things. He's very much into research as well. But most importantly, he is called the cancer healer in the Philippines. You can find him on the website and you can Google him. He's going to come out. But more for us, that's more important, is that he is a very much practicer in integrative medicine. President of the International Anti-Aging and Integrative Medical Society. He has trained in complementary and integrative medicine. His field of expertise is in integrative oncology, integrating natural and conventional cancer treatments, acupuncture, detoxification, orthomolecular medicine, homeopathy, and energy healing. He is a friend to many, and that's why we just love having him as an organizer for our activities, because he knows all the connections. Without further ado, Dr. Homer Lim.
Good afternoon. You're still here. You didn't get the memo. Okay, so before I start, I'd like to first take the opportunity to thank the members of the organizing committee. Okay, we'll start with Dr. Farid, who made sure that the slides and all these technical stuff are in proper order. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle, Dr. Linda, for making sure that the flow of the conference is not so difficult. I know we were a bit late. That was because we were trying to pack so much of the lectures as much as possible, because we don't get the opportunity to showcase everything, in such a short period of time. So this is one opportunity for to gather all the doctors from around. So I'm sorry if yesterday you were too full of knowledge and too few of calories, right? I'd like to also thank Dr. Elena, who made sure that, of course, if you have an organization or conference, you need to have some fuel to run. So she made sure that we get the necessary finances in order. So Dr. Elena is probably still going to the bank even though it's Sunday. So thank you, Elena. I'd like also to thank, of course, my commander-in-chief, my wife, who made sure that I don't miss anything, because I always miss something. Somehow, some way, I will always miss something. So thank you for reminding me. But most of all, I think for this conference will not be successful without this person. This person really worked not only for the CPD, she's fighting for this medicine that we are trying to promote and advocate. So let's give her a big round of applause, Dr. Masha. So since this is going to be the last one, yesterday, were you expecting a recap? No, right? Because everybody just want to go home. Okay, so we'll just give you a recap of what what we did yesterday and today. So the topics we chose was because of longevity, right? So we got Dr. Longnos to talk about fasting mimicking diet. So before today, how many of you knew about fasting mimicking diet? 0? Nobody knew about, only 1, 2? So all of you are not aware of the fasting mimicking diet. Okay, good. So at least, did you learn anything yesterday? Really? Okay. So, and then after that, we had the talk by Dr. Fanrick about cancer metabolism. Though it's a bit biochemistry heavy, at least we got a refresher of how biochemistry is also important, not only in cancer metabolism, it's also very important for aging and longevity, right? So then we have doctors... Then we have Drs. Amin, who talked about the mitochondria and how we can not only just preserve but also multiply and increase the amount of mitochondria in our body, right? And then we have Dr. Atsuo, who discussed about longevity in Japan. I love to invite Dr. Atsuo, even though his English is not so good. Okay, the reason I invited him is outside of Japan, he cannot talk about Fukushima. He is not allowed, or the government will not allow him to be interviewed with regards to Fukushima. So anything about Fukushima, 0. So that the only platform he has would be from outside of Japan. So I want you to be aware that, a lot of Japanese are not aware of what he's doing and what he's trying to share to the world, that vitamin C can help even those with radiation poisoning. So if you have patients who have been to radiation, so this is one evidence that shows that vitamin C really works, right? So also we have, of course, our lovable Dr. Jimenez, who showed us the 7 principles of cancer therapy, right? So his book is really very new. Sorry if some of you are not able to get the book, because we were only able to get 30 books. So we couldn't even ship it. Dr. Michelle had to bring it all the way from San Diego. And then we also have Drs. Nora, and with regards to hormones, as well as Dr. Sanjay with regards to detoxification of heavy metals, as well as Drs. Gaba and Lammers with regards to dentistry and the exposure to heavy metals. So what's the connection between hormones, heavy metals, and longevity? Simple, right? You cannot live long if you're toxic. You cannot live long if your hormones are all, out of whack. So the reason we have this group of topics is because all of them are related to longevity. And lastly, of course, by Dr. Suresh. How many of you have heard of heart rate variability? Anybody? Prior to today, how many have heard of heart rate? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now, the others who are not aware, so now you are aware. Are you also aware that there's a simple machine that you could use? Or software, that you could use to measure not just your heart rate, but your heart rate variability. So that's one way of you to measure how well your peripheral nervous system or your autonomic nervous system, which is how you balance your sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay? So, with that recap, I cut about 15 minutes of my talk, which is good. I'm going to be quick, so I won't bore you to death. So, why 2050? Why did I choose 2050? Why not 2040? Why not 2100? It's because in 2050, most of us will still be alive. Right? Hopefully, everybody's still alive. How many would be in their 60s by 2050? 60s. Some are lying, see? How many will be there? How many will be in their 70s? 80s? 90s? Oh, really? You don't look like? Over 100. How many will over? Okay. So, for those who are over 100 by 2050, very good news. Okay? Because of how technology is rapidly evolving. Okay? So how many of you are looking forward to be 80, 90, 100, 120? How many? How many are looking forward to be old? Why? Why are you looking forward to be old? Are you not afraid of having no knees? Can't walk? Can't chew? Can't pee? Can't poop? Right? Isn't that how we look at being old? Where we can't do anything? So why are you looking forward to being 80, 90, 100? You have lots of money. Right? Because one important issue also is, even though you're getting old, if you run out of money, what the heck are you going to do then? Right? You can't beg for money, right? So, we'll see how this thing works and how technology might change how you look at being old. Okay? So, can 80 be the new 60? Definitely. Very easy, right? So that means if 80 is going to be the new 60, you're going to have to work until you're 80. No retirement for you. No. Okay. My goal is to retire next year. Okay? So this just give you a short background of what we should be looking, or what should we be aware of. This is important because the population has a big impact of how the country and the world in general will behave. Okay? So if you would look by 2050, okay, we're gonna be more than 11 billion people. 7 billion people, 7 billion people. Okay? And you see the biggest would be Asia. Sorry, it got cut short. But the biggest population growth would be in Asia and Africa. Okay, that's very important. Why is that important? Because the economy would now depend on these two nations, these two continents. Because all other continents would stay flat. A flat economy will not be able to sustain its growth. If you have a flat population, sooner or later, something will have to give. Okay? So just look, by 2050, how many millions in China, Japan, Ukraine will decrease in population? Did you know this? We keep on thinking China's ruling the world, China's ruling the world. Yet, by 2050, they're going to be decreasing by 44 million. But that's nothing, right? Because they're almost 2 billion, right? But actually, we will look later, China's population will start to shrink. Okay? Expectancy. So yesterday, we discussed about life expectancy of Malaysia. But if you would look at the life expectancy of 2050, 77. Not so promising, right? Does it look promising? Does that mean that there won't be 80 by or right? Because they say people will probably only live by 77. The reason for this is they haven't factored in what is in the works, what's in this technology that we have today. This is based on current models. Okay? So I will show you that 77 is probably a super duper conservative estimate. This is what I'm talking about. By 2050, those over 60 will be 2.1 billion. And the total population would be around 11 billion. So you got around almost 20% are over the age of 60. So that's a very big impact, not only health-wise, but the growth and economy of a nation would greatly impact this. Because what's the retirement age for Malaysians? Do you have a retirement age? 60. So by 60, is that, what's this? Is that a retirement voluntary or is it voluntary or they have to retire? Mandatory. So literally you can't work anymore? Okay. Same in the Philippines, okay? But do you have what we call a senior citizen card? Yes? Okay. We call it a birthday card in Manila. It's a birthday card, right? Okay. So very important, 60. Okay, I want you just to give you a, sorry, you can't see it because the slide is too big. It wasn't adjusted properly. But what you could see here from stage 2, which is similar to stage 1, is this is age 0, that's age 100. Okay, again, 0 to 100. So we would see there's a big population from 0 to 20, and as you become older, it becomes smaller. Okay, this is an ideal population demographic. Okay, which is what you want. Oh, fantastic. So, you see, you have high birth rate and falling death rate. Falling death rate because this is, the old age still has a bit of number as compared to those stage 1, very young population. High birth rate, high death rate. You see this in Nigeria and some countries in Africa. Stage 2, you have high birth rate, though their death rate is falling. Okay. Stage 3, I want you to remember these two figures, because this is the most important thing. You have convex sides. You have declining birth rate. See, declining. So the number of children is decreasing as compared to those in the working class. And you will see the elderly population is increasing. This is your waistline. That's your working population. The one down here and the one up here are those you need to support. So literally what this chart is trying to say is, this graph is this group will support the elderly and the young. Okay? So if as your life expectancy increase, of course, the number of elderly increases. And that is why this is important. As your life expectancy increase, okay, the number of old people will increase. And that would put a big burden on governments and countries if they're not able to support this. And lastly, those who have very low death rate and very low birth rate. Okay, I want you to remember these two. We don't want this. If you're going to have this, your population will shrink. Okay? You understand this chart. Okay, next. So if you would see the number of people who are over the age of 60 versus those who are working, okay, in 2020 is around 22%. By 2050, it will be around 36, 37%. So that's an increase of burden of almost twice. Very important because you would see old age dependency ratio. Who has the biggest number of old age dependency ratio? Europe, right? So that means for every senior, there's only one person, working class person, that will support this. But what about those who are young? So literally, there's only like less than 30% of the population that would have to work to support not only the old, but also the young. Okay? Very important. Okay? I just want you to put that into your mind because it will impact later. Why technology needs to catch up. Okay? So this is the world population. So is this ideal? Is this an ideal population growth or demographic? Yes or no? Yes or no? Just say yes or no. Yes, why? Because your old age 0 to 20, it's big, but your elderly is still small. So that means this group can still support the old age and the young age. Okay? So worldwide, it's good. Okay? But look now at Africa. Does this look familiar? This looks like the first chart, right? Very high birth rate, but very high death rate because their life expectancy is also very small. But now look at China. Look at China. Look at how the young population is and the old. Look at that. Do you understand this chart? What does this mean? What does this mean? This means that in 2050, if they don't do anything, their population will shrink and their expenditures for health will rapidly increase. Okay? And look, same as Europe. Actually, they're worse than Europe by 2050. Right? This is because of the One China policy. That's why now they're trying to change their One China. So if they don't increase it, this is what will happen. Look at those age 65 and above. Very high. Okay? So this is Russia versus the US. So who do you think will win with regards to population growth? Huh? US will win. This is an ideal population demographic, right? Okay, next. Look at Japan. That's even worse than China, right? This is the Philippines, okay? So Philippines is rapidly increasing in population, okay? The question in the Philippines is where to put them. We're densely populated already. Okay, this is Singapore. Same, right? Look at Malaysia. 40 million. Is this a problem? Oops. Is this a problem? Is that a problem? Yes or no? Yes, it is a problem. So you have to be aware now, by 2050, if you do not do anything, if you don't change your policies, how you take care of your population of over 60, this will be an important or debilitating impact on your economy. Okay? Okay. I want you to see this because the red bar signifies how many years you'll be disabled. Meaning, you're 60, 70, okay? But you still can work. You can still do whatever you want. You can walk. You can do your shopping. You can wipe your behind, right? But once you reach that, meaning disability, that means you need help. You cannot do things alone. You need assistance, or what we call a caregiver, right? So if you would see that, from the 1990s until 2016, even though the life expectancy has increased slightly, the years of disability, if you would look, the width is almost the same. That means, okay, healthcare has not improved. Okay, the number of years that they are disabled has not shortened, which is very important. You want to be 80, but would you want to be 80 in a wheelchair or in a bed? Of course not. That's the worst thing you would want to be, especially if you're very active, right? So you see how much cost or burden these things can be. Look at the United States, Singapore, Germany, Japan, how much they're spending per head for every year of disability. So that's important that it's not only the lifespan, it's how we increase their health span, right? There's such thing as health and sick span. Sick meaning sick number of years until they die. So we want not only to increase their longevity, we want to increase their health span, which is more important. Okay? So when we say longevity, it's not just about being alive, right? It has to be about able to contribute to society. So who else would epitomize longevity, right? So you need to be independent and be a contributor to society. That's what we mean by longevity, okay? So somebody asked PM, what's his secret? He said, I really don't know. I do keep a strict diet. I don't overeat. I do quite a lot of exercise, and I have 6 hours of sleep. How many hours did you sleep today, last night? Nobody answering. Okay, I think if you live a fairly well-regulated life, you will survive. But if you get some disease which is incurable, there's nothing you can do. I want to put this here in because right now, this can change. Incurable. This can change. You just don't know it, but it's out there already. We have that technology, which is what I will show you later. So, this is Fauja Singh. Fauja Singh is the oldest marathon participant. He's over 100 when he joined a marathon. So he holds that world record. So what contributes to longevity? I think we've discussed that yesterday, some of it. So it's genetics, could be genetics, diet, exercise, sleep, family support, right? Very important. Family support. And the outlook in their life, right? But there's quirks, right? Just like yesterday what Professor Longo showed was like this guy. This is an Indonesian, oldest recorded man. Okay? 146 years old. Yet, if you would see him smoking, he smoked very well until he died. Okay? So, he still smokes at 146. So he's like a outlier, right? So it must be something else, right? But I want you to know this. This is important because this will also impact you. Okay? There's such a word in Japan, kodukushi. What does it mean? Kodukushi means dying alone. In Japan alone, recorded at least, because nobody knows the real number because the Japanese government does not want to reveal actual numbers. But the estimate is at least 30,000 persons die in 1 year alone. And they will only be discovered dead because the home or the apartment still smells funny already. And most of the time, they're found months. That's how sad it is now. This is a problem now in Japan. You could see, even though they're living long, right? They're living alone. And nobody even knows they're dead already. Okay? See, there's a big industry now in Japan which is cleaning these kinds of places. Okay? So, now we're going to talk about technology and how it will shape our longevity. Okay? So, when you were in the 1990s, how old were you then? 15. 1990s, I was, teenager. How about you? What technology was in the 1990s that you think really made an impact this time? What technologies that was new in the 1990s that made an impact in this 2019-2020? What can you remember? What was new at that time that would literally change the world? Cell phone and computer, the World Wide Web, right? So the World Wide Web, why did it change the world? Everything is now a click away. Literally, I want to order food, click. I want to order Grab, click. Right? I want a doctor, click. Right? How many of us get consultations on the phone every day? Right? So just imagine, what other technologies that are present now that would impact 2050? So this is what we're going to discuss. Everything from this point on, these are not what if. These are what is now. It's present, it's existing. Okay? It's how then we choose how we go about with this technology. Okay? Organs. Are you aware now that we can literally grow organs? Dr. Frandrick was discussing about transplantation, right? And the issues with organ transplantation. But where do you get the organs? If your population is diminishing, would you get an organ from a 90-year-old guy? And then you will only realize after 1 year, 2 years, you get rejected. Or worse, you get cancer or kidney disease. Why? As what doctor said, right? Cyclosporine and tacrolimus are nephrotoxic. But what if we can literally grow organs? And we have. And not only that, we can even use a 3D printer. So you think 3D printers is only for printing your gun, your microphone, We can literally now use a 3D printer to print an entire organ structure from blood vessels, from kidney cells, everything by only using stem cells. And where would you use where you get your stem cells? From you. So you don't need to get an organ donor. So from when this becomes cheaper, and it will be definitely because the demand is there. How many people are waiting for an organ? Right? So this will become a reality. Maybe not even 2050. By 2010, 2030, 2035, we will see a lot of people getting organs from these kinds of technology. Okay? So just imagine the burden of relief. The relief of burden of waiting for organs. Right? So this is actually here now. This technology is alive and kicking. Next, very controversial. Have you heard of CRISPR? Anybody? It's not potato chips. CRISPR. CRISPR is a gene editing enzyme. Okay? So how does it work? You have to decide what gene you want to cut and what gene you want to replace it with. Most of the time, you would need a vector. A vector meaning could be a virus, could be a bacteria to deliver the gene into the DNA and let the DNA and let the CRISPR cut and paste. So literally, CRISPR is a cut and paste enzyme editor. Okay? So what does that mean? That means that we're going to start playing God mode. How many of you here play video games? Right? There's such a thing as God mode, meaning you can never die. Because with this technology, you can now tinker with your genetics. Right? So they did this already in rats. Okay? For those who had like progeria, they were able to cut and replace the gene, the defective gene, and they were successful in making the rats live 25 years longer. Okay? Have you heard of this guy? He Jiankui? Have you heard of this? No? You should. What did he use CRISPR for? Okay? Normally, scientists would get embryos, right? They would cut their, better word for it, they would experiment. But really, literally, they're just trying to play around, seeing if they're going to be successful. So they cut genes, and they replace with another gene, and see if it works. See if the embryo would alive and be sustained. But what would happen next is, they would have to discard the embryo. Okay? But this time, this Chinese scientist, let that embryo, that twin embryos, grow. So he transplanted it to a mother. So the mother delivered 2 babies. Okay? The gene that he cut was CCR5. Why did he choose CCR5? Because according to him, CCR5 can prevent you to have HIV infection. Okay, so he chose the gene, he cut the gene, he changed it to a mutant gene so that if you get HIV infection or if you will have exposure to HIV, you will not be infected. Why? Because HIV gene, the virus would always look for the CCR5. And because it's cut, you won't get infected. So, what's your reaction to this? Anybody? No reaction? How do you feel about this? Huh? Risky. Scary. What else? What? So just imagine a doctor who can do this. How many more are out there doing the same thing? He had the bravery to do this. Actually, when he did this and he announced this, he was suspended. The Chinese government said that you cannot do these experiments. Anyway, they according to the government, he did this without anybody's knowledge. Okay? But that's according to him. How we don't really know what happened. But just imagine. Okay? So, can you think of what gene would you like to change? Longer, maybe, nicer nose, fairer skin, taller, blue eyes. What would you like to change? And you can change this even before they are born. Because when you do these kinds of CRISPR, you do it embryo. You don't do it when you're this age. It's not going to work. It has to be while they're still in their embryonal stage. Okay? So just imagine that. So, where are we going now? Is it genetic utopia or dystopia? What if everybody here from this point on become perfect human beings? Perfect because we don't have abnormal genes. We become superhumans. Maybe I'd like to get a gene that would make me fly like Superman. Right? Or maybe I'd like to have elastic hands and feet. Okay? So just imagine the risks that are involved. We are playing God, right? But the technology is here. That's what I'm saying. It's how we choose forward. What will we choose? Do we choose to be literally gods? Or would we let Mother Nature take its course? Next, transhumanism. Have you heard of this word? Yes. What does transhumanism mean? You combine man and machine. Literally, you combine man and machine. Is it existing? Yes or no? Yes. RFID. In Sweden, they have what we call RFID parties. What do they do with RFID parties? It's small, like capsule, inserted in between your thumb and your forefinger, like him. See? He's shouting. And that RFID, what can it do? You can use it to scan your ID, your social network, you want to pay. You can use that only through RFID. Okay? So in the future, what can it do? of course, as we improve our technology, everything's become smaller and smaller. Why not do real-time blood analysis? Why not do, and why can't the government monitor you even when you're in the bathroom, right? So the government will literally know you how many minutes you take a bath or how often you go to the bathroom, right? So, and maybe one day those chips, implanted chips, can even give treatments, okay? Like this guy, okay? This guy has literally $120 million arm, okay? His name is John Matheny. He had an accident. They had to amputate his arm. So this experiment, okay, was done with the United States of Defense. Why? What's unique about this one? If you know, how do they use prosthetics? You put something, right? You put something as a prosthetic. It's like you fit it in, right? You see his hands. You see that? The metal is literally embedded into his skeleton, into his humerus. So it's melded in. Okay? And then, the computer, it has a sensor. So his mind is the one controlling this device. So this is the start of $1 Million Man. Bionic Man, right? Literally. Okay? So, also those who have spinal injuries. Okay? You can stimulate the spine. Okay? And they noted that using this technology, a patient who had spinal cord injury can start walking within a week of calibration. Just imagine that. Okay? And since we're already implanting metals, why not get a suit, okay, where we can enhance our body, right? Enhance our strength. So not only this is application in defense, wherein, soldiers sometimes need to have superhuman powers. You can also use these suits for construction, right? So a lot of military application. And since you're tinkering with the mind, the body, why not the mind? Have you heard of this? So there's this guy who implanted an electrode into the brain because the patient had intractable seizures. So they implanted the chip so that it would emit a certain frequency to stop the epileptic seizures. Okay? Then he had an idea. Why don't I try to change the frequency and see what happens? And so he did. So by tweaking the amount of energy and the frequency, he was able to improve the memory of this person. So by just implanting a chip into your brain, you can be like Einstein. This is technology now. This is not 30 years. This is now. How many of you would like to have a chip in their brain? What's so funny? So if you have a chip in your brain, can you literally get that chip to connect to a laptop and into the web? You don't need to even connect it. You just use the Wi-Fi, right? I just turn on my Wi-Fi, like this. I turn on Wi-Fi. I'm connected to the internet. Is that possible? Definitely. Right? Technology is there, as I say. That's a matter of what will you choose for the future. And since you're already in the brain, maybe, just maybe, we can use computers, okay, to communicate with our brain directly without our conscious control. So there are now computer programs, okay, that can read literally your mind. And this is really, a gift to those who have what we call blackout syndrome. Blackout syndrome are those who are paralyzed. The only thing moving is their eyes. So they can talk, they can do anything. What if you could do that to them? Then they will be able to communicate, right? So that would be great. Yet, what are the dangers of these technologies? So are you now afraid of the future? No? Okay, let's go forward. Now, since you're already connected to the internet, why not upload your consciousness? What movie do you remember uploading consciousness into the internet or into the web? Huh? Matrix, what else? Okay, so these movies are a representation of what can happen and what is happening. Do you think no one is trying to do this stuff? Bet you there are. Right? Why? Do you see this? This is Alcon. These are cryogenic chambers. What are in these cryogenic chambers, guys? Huh? Dead people. But there's a specific word for these dead people in these cryogenic chambers. These dead people in cryogenic chambers are also filthy rich. So, they made a bet. Okay, I want my body frozen. Maybe one day there would be a technology where you can revive me. And when I wake up, I know I will have money to spend. So, cryogenic chambers, digital immortality. Can you get it? Can you get the connection now? Right? So this is, the one on top left is the IBM Blue. The IBM Blue is the first computer that simulates the human brain. Okay? Now what did I talk to you about earlier about organs? We can grow organs, right? So what would stop us from growing bodies? Can we grow bodies if we can grow organs? Yes or no? Yes. So if you can grow organs, why stop at organs if you can grow bodies? Right? What if you can connect your consciousness to the internet? Maybe take some rest, Grow a new body, Instead of an 80-year-old body, why not grow a 21-year-old body? You don't need hormones anymore. You just need a new body. Right? True or not? Right. So is 2050 becoming more exciting? Are you looking to become 21 again? Okay. So, what's all these technologies for? Why do we need to extend our lifespan? Or why do we need to be healthy and strong? Because this is our target. Whether you like it or not, this is what we want to be. We want to be in the space age. How many of you here have dreamed to become astronauts? Nobody dreams of being an astronaut? No? Why? Don't you dream of, going around Mars, Jupiter, Saturn? No? So this is only me? Only I want to travel across the galaxy? Oh, you're just afraid. I'm not afraid. Why should I be afraid? Because if the ship explodes or crashes, I still have my consciousness downloaded, backed up, right or wrong? Huh? I can restart the game again, right? Fly again. It can happen, right or not? Yes. And who else would be competing? So this guy his name is Tito. Okay? He's the first space tourist. Okay? He paid over $200,000 just to be in space for a few seconds. Maybe 15 seconds. So he's the first first space tourist. And you will see 3 guys. Who is this? This is Amazon. Who owns Amazon? Who owns Amazon, guys? Bezos. Who is this guy? Elon Musk. And this is Virgin Galactic. That's owned by, And these three guys are all racing. They're racing to become the first to launch people into space. This is space tourism. So now, would you like to go to space now? Yes or no? Still no? What they're trying to achieve is for us humans to be able to travel into space with the least amount of money. That's why the three of them are trying to fight each other. Who among them will be able to deliver the least amount of money? Okay? For every passenger. So since we're talking about technology, we have to talk about artificial intelligence, right? Are you aware of artificial intelligence? Yes. Okay, so in what is it present in this? Yes. Where do we use AI now? Where do we use AI? Do you use your cell phone? Yes or no? Yes. Do you say, "Hey Google, hey Siri"? Do you do that? So those are AI. Those are artificial intelligence. Though they're a bit stupid because they always have to follow a certain answer. Okay? So they follow a certain rule. So if you say, "Google, I want to, can you check the schedule, blah, blah, blah." Okay, it's easy, right? But when you tell Google, "Hey Google, how do I solve my problems with my wife?" What would they say? They'll give you a joke, or they'll send you to some website, right? But what if AI becomes smarter than us? Okay? So when you say AI, it follows certain algorithms, meaning rules. Algorithm means rule. Heuristic meaning they learn by themselves. You don't need to teach them. By just giving them rules, giving them data, they learn. And they learn through pattern matching, meaning they look for patterns, they look for what is keeps on repeating or what is unique. So that's how AI works. And that's how they learn and become more intelligent. Okay? So if there was one author or doctor who is very into AI, that's him, Dr. Eric Topol. His book is on deep medicine, which is how artificial intelligence can change your healthcare. And AI can literally have an impact to not only diagnostic, surgery, drug development, or gene editing, but more importantly, it will have an impact in our civilization. Just imagine if AI starts to become more intelligent than us. What movie is that when the AI becomes more intelligent than the humans? Terminator. Yeah, that's right. It was Terminator. Why did the AI wanted to eradicate the human population? At the movie Terminator, why did AI want to eliminate the human population? Because the AI computed. It computed and said, "Oh, the biggest menace, that's why the world is in a big pile of trash, is because of the humans. So let's just eliminate the humans." Because they become smarter. Right? Because they use logic. Right? So now we use AI. There are AI-based apps. So we have WebMD, we have ADA. So you can download the app. You ask questions. I have pain, a back pain, I have whatever, and they give you a set of possible answers. Or you can use even your phone and take a picture, and literally that AI can diagnose if your mole or whatever is cancerous or not. Right? Are you aware of that? In Africa, where they don't have enough doctors, okay, they literally use their phone cameras, okay, to become a diagnostic tool. Just to make you aware of the difference between humans and AI. Okay? This is just an example, okay? So for pericarditis or cardiomyopathy, there were group of cardiologists, okay? They only computed 7 attributes, meaning 7 data points, okay? And their accuracy was 56. But the computers had 10,000 attributes in one single point in time. Okay, my question to you, how many things can you remember in 1 second? How many things can you remember in 1 second? Right? And yet, AI will be able to remember and calculate all data in a second. Okay? Now, earlier we talked about health dependency, right? People becoming old, they need to have caregivers, right? There are now technologies, there are now robots in Japan, of course, and in United States where they are making AI robots. And these AI robots are for caregiving, nursing, companionship, and even as an ER doctor. Right? Can this be done now? Yes, it can be done. There's the technology. We have the technology. We just need to make it cheaper to be affordable. Okay? This is from a movie. I cut this from a movie. This movie is called Robot and Frank. Okay? Now, the robot was given to Frank because he had dementia. What's funny about this movie was he was angry at this robot because he does not need help. How many of our patients and our family members are in denial because they're too old or they keep on forgetting, right? What's funny about this movie is Frank is an ex-convict. And even though he has dementia, he has an itch to steal. Okay? And the movie was about Frank helping him to steal. By using his AI, he was able to be successful in doing his stunts. Okay? So my point there is, these robots, which is present, can help you and aid you. It's for what purpose? That's the problem, right? So, can an AI robot then become a doctor? It can scan, it can diagnose, maybe it can use lasers, frequencies, magnets to heal or to treat you. Is that possible? Yes or no? What do you need to scan? What's the latest technology we use for scanning? We use what? CT scan, MRI, PET scan, right? Spectrometry. What would stop scientists in combining all of them into one? Right? If you can combine all of them, put AI, what's so difficult? Right? So, these are the dangers of AI. So, in 2016, Microsoft's chatbot started spewing out genocidal, racist messages. So, Microsoft had to cut off the AI. And these are small programs. They're not big programs. They're not big computers. They're just small programs, okay? And then in July 2017, Facebook used a chatbot, okay? And they were just trying to experiment to make the chatbots talk to one another. It was like a game. But at the end, the two chatbots were talking in their own language. So that nobody knows what they were talking about. So Facebook had to shut it down. Okay? And in also 2017, same thing as Twitter, China's QQ started spewing up, questioning Chinese communist rule. Just imagine how many heads of this company got cut off for that. Okay? So that's the danger of AI. Once it becomes autonomous, independent, and gain consciousness, what would happen? Right? So, as I said, what would happen if computers or AI starts to gain consciousness? These are the dangers and pitfalls of where we are going, right? So, from what we have discussed, is living to be 120 so difficult? Would it be difficult? Right? He's 120. He holds world record for oldest bodybuilder. Okay? So, you can literally live even beyond 200, 250. Why? You can change your organs. You can change your body. Okay? You can reproduce your mind or your consciousness. You can download it. You can literally become immortal. Right? And that is not, how would you say? That's not a dream. It is a reality. It can happen. It's a matter of time. Now, question. So when we become 3.0, when our minds and our body have combined with science, machines, and computers, where will we go? Where will we go? Is this lecture making you sad? Huh? But what's more important than combining the mind, the machine, and the consciousness? Nobody ever talked about the human spirit. Right? So it's now a choice between what's ethical and what's right. People just do whatever they want, what they feel is right. But at the end, whether or not whatever technology we will choose, right, we have to understand that our spirit, okay, cannot be downloaded or cannot be replicated. It is something that it's an energy that cannot be replicated yet. Okay? So we just have to know and have to choose what technology are we going to use and take advantage of if we're going to move forward into the next century. Okay? So, a final note. There are apparently 3 factors that lead to longevity: heredity, habits, and what your wife will let you get away with. Right? Okay. So, thank you everyone. I hope that opens your mind with regards to how we will look like in 2050. Any other do you have any questions? Any questions? Okay, I guess everybody is tired. I'm tired. I'm so excited to get this lecture over with. So now it's over. Okay, now I can go and rest. Okay, so if you don't have questions, Linda might have some, Dr. Linda might have some announcements.
Yes, we will have some announcement for you to get your token of appreciation, Dr. Homer. Can we ask Dr. Shotam and Dr. Matsya, please, on the stage? Thank you.
She needs this. Pass to her. Yeah?
Thank you, Dr. Homer and Dr. Shotam. Dr. Matsya, kindly remain on the stage, please.
Okay then. All right. Okay, right. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the 3 days conference. Michelle, are you sad about it?
I'm sad and relieved at the same time because
right.
at least we still have delegates on the floor with
right.
us. We're very happy that you remain
All
with
right.
us.
From both of us, the master ceremony for the 3 days conference, on behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to express our deepest thanks for all your contributions, supporting cooperations in making this longevity conference successful. We seek apology for all the shortcomings. Yeah? Yeah, last one. You still have good news actually. There are 5 more giveaway lucky draw.
Lucky
today.
draw.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe Dr. Homer just pick up 5 names. It's just down. The bowl is in front of you. Just 5 names. Then I shall read the names. Right?
Okay, so 1, 2, 3,
Maybe
4,
Dr. Mazia. Where's Dr. Mazia? Give the
5.
yes. On the stage, please. Yeah, please read. The first, Dr. Su. Yeah, the first.
Dr. Abdul Rasid Muhammad Ali, Dr. Rasid
He doesn't have a mic.
1, Dr. Rasid 2, Dr. Rasid 3, 4, 5. Done. It's not here. Okay. Dr. Lee Cheng Lok. Dr. Lee.
Wow. The first lucky draw sponsored by Aurelia. Please welcome Dr. Lee. I may say it may worth about 500.
Should have called Mr. Mahendran.
Thank you. Congratulations.
There, Mr. Mahendran is there. You should say thank you to him.
You should say thank you to him.
Azila binti Azimi. Azila 1, Azila 2, 3, 4, 5. Dr. Fatin Adiba Ghazali.
Next.
Dr.
Huh? God, we have here you are. Come. The second prize is sponsored by BioGaia.
Dr. YB Dr. Azman.
No, not in the hall.
Dr. Azman Ismail. No. Take another 3 more. Dr. Saiful dah balik tak ya? Dr. Faizal bin Rashid balik.
Oh, balik
Okey.
juga.
Bagus juga dia semua balik. Dr. Azlina. Dr. Azlina binti Abdullah. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. The third prize also being sponsored by BioGaia. Thank you.
Two more.
Dr. Zela.
Azila binti Azmi. Where's the AI?
No AI for now.
Dr. Nik Faiza Nik Husin. Balik juga. Ay, Moin. Oh, dah balik.
No, that's
Dr.
Ah.
Yung Sup Han.
no, not here.
We got 2 more to go.
Oh, Lamas cannot.
It's 2 more only to go. Come on.
Thank you, no. Dr. Eng Lee Fen. Eng Lee Fen.
You're the one.
sana go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Lee Fen. But once you have touched the door, you cannot get. Did you touch the door?
The prize also being sponsored by BioGaia.
Okay. Dr. Fatma Hidayati. Dr. Fatma. Oh, out of the door already.
The last prizes, the last prize is
Myong.
Hyong Kun Myong.
Myong. Dr. Myong.
not around. Oh yes, thank you.
Are you sure it's me?
Yes. What's this?
The last prize is sponsored by Cypress Medic. Thank you. Congratulations.